Welcome back, everybody, to the League of Inches podcast. It's our Tuesday night edition, which means it's a Team List Tuesday and Supercoach edition all into one, where we basically go through the team list of today for round 8 and then also work into that our Supercoach talk as well. Look, there is plenty to talk about. There's obviously some big injuries to players like Kalen Ponga, to Jamal Fogarty. There's also some big names coming back: Payne Haas, Nathan Cleary, and the like. So plenty to talk about. Look, if we want to talk about last week, I haven't even had a chance, guys, to bring it up, and I don't want to bring it up because let's just say this: we got to Sunday and had a bit of a chat to my co-host here in Jesse, and we were tossing up the idea of, do we keep it with Ponga? Do we go over to Hines or something as captaincy? No, we'll stick it with Kalen. Let's just say that 900 is a win. We'll just say that 900. I'm looking at going, I've gotten out of something somehow, and looking at it, and I could have got at least about another 250 points to my name just by changing that C over that little voice in my head I should listen to. Will pain me for the rest of this season. So I'm going to declare this podcast now, guys. What you're going to see from us is some big ballsy moves from here on in, because we need to create some content for you guys. It's going to be enthralling because, let's face it, we're over and out. We're done. We're a bunch of losers here. But you know what? If you want to keep asking us for advice, we're happy to give it. Just please take it with a huge asterisk, huge little star, huge everything. So Jesse, I'll bring you in because we got bashed from pillar to post, and I feel like it's happened more weeks than not for us. And we're still standing
like
somehow, but not by much.
No, we're just sort of holding on at the moment, having a bit of fun with it now. I think we're too far behind the pace, really, realistically, to try and mount a comeback. We'll play for fun, do some moves here and there, but there was a few obviously minor hiccups from last round. Looking back in hindsight, it made so much sense to not captain Ponga. I just saw him kicking. It was against the Dogs. He sort of rounded up last week. I thought, you know what, there's a chance, and if I don't do it, I'll be kicking myself. Completely off the mark from about the second minute in the game. I was like, oh shit, that was a bad decision. So there was a few things that went wrong. Obviously, I parted ways with Bostock for his 130. That hurts. I brought in Garrick, lost about 90k. Captain Ponga dropped about 10,000 spots overall. So it was just a week to forget. Yeah, it wasn't nice. But we
Look,
move.
I'll make a public
move.
apology to the Canterbury Bulldogs because I've keep thinking about them as last year and the year before, where they were basically dog shit, to say it politely. And the weekend did prove to me that you guys do have a serious football team on your hands, and I'm not going to take them lightly anymore. So that's going to take into account for super coaches as well. I'm not going to say automatic see you in a players versus the Dogs anymore because it's a very, very hard game. Look, there's a couple of quick things I'll get out of the way. Obviously, guys, make sure you continue to like and subscribe on either Facebook, YouTube, however you're watching or listening on the podcast. Does go a long way. Become a subby, $3.99 a month, literally less than $1 a week. You'd buy a coffee at least once a week, and that's your coffee. And they're probably more these days. I don't drink coffee, but I believe they're about $5 these days, $6. So they're pretty darn expensive these days, the coffee. So you can become a subby, go in the draw every second week. We did do our first draw today for the double pass for the NRL games, and you get a double pass for an NRL game of your choice. So pretty cool there. We are looking for sponsors as well, guys. So if you own a business, if you know someone who owns a business who's a massive sports nut who wants to help out any small or large way, if possible, we're more than happy to have a chat. As I said, it doesn't have to be financial either. It can be any sort of way. I'm happy to just have an open chat with you, work out what works for both parties, and we go from there just to help each other grow the like and help create some more awesome content, hopefully. But last thing I want to mention and ask to Jesse is, did someone say draft? Because I believe we teased the viewers last week with a huge draft game. Do you care to inform the viewers how that draft went? If no one knows by now, the League of Inches inaugural season 1 draft, trust me, I've already got things behind the scene cooking for season 2. It's going to be huge. It's going to be at least a tiered competition, and really keen for it. But Jesse, Did you win on the weekend?
I lost by 20 and Ponga scored 14. So don't get too excited about it.
Did you win though?
No, mate, I didn't.
Thank you.
I got robbed. I got royally robbed. But
Ah,
you're top of the ladder still, somehow, just chipping away at those scrappy wins, but they're wins. That's the best
you
thing
know
about
what?
it is their
To be
wins.
honest, I think we've got two of the lowest 4 or 5 scores in our comp, and we
Yeah,
didn't have a very good game. Like it was a very low scoring game considering it was
yeah.
draft. So
What was
there's
it?
not too much to
605
write home
to
about.
605 to 625. Yeah, it wasn't a high scoring round by any means, but yeah, it was just shit. I've got a couple players back actually this week. I've got Haas back.
Look out.
I'm still
Scary.
I'm still without a few though. I'm still without Moses, Johnston. Obviously, Ponga's gone. Still without Herbie. Um, my 5'8's been dropped again week to week. So until Moses comes back, I'm just playing halfback roulette. My centers are trash. It's been a season to forget in pretty much every aspect of Supercoach, but it's all right. We've still
We
got
keep
plenty of time.
trucking. Let's change the attack then. Let's get into some footy talk, team list talk, round 8. The first game, obviously Anzac round as well, guys. So we will honour all our the services out there. It's a great round to get involved. Make sure you get up early, pay your respects to everyone as well. I'm not going to go in and give you all the big spiel because I've got no doubt you'll hear all the speeches who will do a lot better than myself. But just make sure however you can do it, whether it is that early morning or if it's throughout the day, if it's watching the footy and just spending that minute silence, just having a think about things because we are very, very lucky to be where we are at as a country and where we are in our lives, basically, because of everything that's happened well before our time. So thank you once again. But round 8, the Warriors get to finally host an Anzac Day game, and I cannot wait for this. The atmosphere, I reckon, is going to be phenomenal. Um, I would not want to be the Gold Coast Titans going to there after the Warriors' performance on the weekend against the Dragons. The effort that they put in just simply wasn't there. I think this one is going to be huge. The crowd obviously going to just be next level. The Titans did start to see sort of a bit of form against Manly, but as I said, there's something about the Warriors at the moment just scares the shit out of me. For the Warriors, Kurt Capewell will miss this clash. He has a throat injury. I missed that against the Dragons, so I don't know when that happened. But
Mm.
Jacob Laban comes into the starting side for him, and Dylan Walker returns from an ankle injury on the bench. And I believe there's a uh, debut as well. So Zion, sorry if I pronounced his name wrong, May Uu. May Uu, I think. So if I'm incorrect again, please message the page, guys. Just inform me, please, how to pronounce the names. But Adam Pompey drops to the 18th man as well. So that's it for the Warriors and for the Titans. Des Hasler is sticking to the side that almost got there against the Manly Sea Eagles. So probably don't blame him for that, especially with some of the injuries that they have there. I don't think there's many better options around the place at the moment. David Fifita has been named to start, but we did see last week was the same thing, and he did go onto the bench in the end. And I tell you what, he's starting to speak to us when it comes to Supercoach. I'm probably going to imagine right now he'll be the first one Jesse speaks about when he goes on to the Supercoach side of things.
Yeah, pretty much. We saw last week, obviously, that he got moved to the bench, and it meant nothing for him at all. He was on about 50 points after, what was it, 10 minutes because he got that try. So, um, yeah, I think we're not going to, get any of that dip in price that kind of hoping for Feeder pretty much off the jump. He's going to be a premium asset all year, and it's one of those things. It's like you may as well just get him. His break even's about 90 odd. Again, not worried about that at all. I think it's pretty reasonable. He's going to score that, and yeah, his price is valid. He's going to be the best second row option for the season, I reckon. There's a few of the like obviously that week was like the game from the Titans was it was pretty impressive considering how bad they've been. Um, Again, I don't know if I'd be committing any of their attackers besides Fafita. Brimson looked decent as a fullback too. Like he's coming up as a centre wing dual option. But besides that, honestly, it's Fafita or bust. Um, but yeah, for the Warriors, there's so many options at the moment that people are jumping on, particularly with the amount of outs that we've had.
Yeah.
Obviously, fullback Shans is coming into a lot of discussion. Massive pod play, obviously. If everyone's going to be going Reece Walsh or Pap or Turbo or any of the like, but yeah, Shans is doing his thing, man. He keeps going. Not at all worried about
Do we
injury risk
quickly
too.
mention
But
Sean Johnson? Obviously, been
yeah,
in and around the news the last 24 hours regarding managing. I think it was an Achilles injury. Don't quote me
yeah,
on that. I believe it was
sort of,
Achilles. I'm
yeah.
happy just to say lower leg injury at this rate to quote me on that. But I believe it was that Achilles, and that is a
Mhm.
little bit concerning. But at the same time, that just mentions that they're reducing his training load, which I think for him at his age and where he's at with his career isn't a bad thing either. What I will say is I think finally once this year, I actually seen that sort of impact him on the weekend with just how he was playing. Like the week before, he seemed like he was really free, running quite well against the South Sydney Rabbits. Obviously, scored a couple of tries there in open space as well. Where on the weekend, it sort of seemed to hamper him just that little bit. So, as a Sean Johnson owner, and obviously with the news that Nathan Cleary has been named this week for Penrith Panthers, is that sort of something that you'd be encouraging myself or you probably don't want to help me out too much, but our League of Inches community to look at maybe making that change sooner rather than later? Well, I think this swap over isn't too big in terms of
Mm.
money difference.
Yeah, they're about 100K apart at the moment. And obviously, like Cleary's coming back in this week is massive. Most people like yourself will have SJ and Hines. I would imagine if you've got SJ, you tend to have both. Um, but yeah, it's tricky. It's like you never want to trade away from Sean Johnson, but if he's been managing this Achilles injury, and there's talks about him potentially getting rested, you saw him come off for a few minutes at the end anyway. So it was one of those like they're definitely aware of it. It is going to hamper his scores. Like there's no way it doesn't. But if that's the case, then you may as well. Like his break even's 81. If you can find 100K, it's not hard to do with the amount of players that we've all had, spike in price in the last couple of weeks. If you wanted to cash out of one of them, it's a very easy swap. But yeah, it might be premature. You know what I mean? Like I'm happy to go Cleary this week. I know a lot of people want to wait a week on him for whatever reason. I think that's just you're going to punish yourself with a non-own sort of thing with Cleary. But SJ's a gun too. He's still going to score well regardless. But yeah, if you're just a little worried about it, you've already got Hines. You want to get Cleary. He's the only player he's willing to trade up too. Like that's the thing. Like trying to get someone like Cleary in. If you've already got someone else like Hines, you're not going to trade him away. Not at the moment, with everything that's come out in the last, you know, 24 hours. But yeah, if he's your only way out, 100%.
With
It's just
just a quick one I want to talk about. And I think it's probably a good time to start talking about this. We talk about Fafita, we talk about Cleary, then we talk about Origin. Obviously, that is starting to loom up. Literally, I think it's 5 weeks away or something now. It is very, very close. When you actually think about, we've already gone. This is round 8 of the season. Like that, that's 2 months already gone. So that is crazy to think. Actually, I think it's over 2 months now because obviously Vegas started earlier. So, what sort of planning do you do? Like, there's a lot of people that listen to us and they're first time players or they haven't really ever gotten so into it before. They're starting to. Um, what's your sort of thoughts around the origin planning? Do you maybe think twice about getting players like Cleary or your Fafitas because you know Origin's looming, or you just go all in with them and you think about that when Origin gets there?
it's a bit of both. Like it is a bit of both. You still want to have these players now. Like you're still going to make these points now. Obviously, it's 5 weeks away too. Like with the amount of stuff that we're having to do weekly, with the amount of injuries and head knocks and concussions and random shit that's been happening all season. It's tricky to plan 5 weeks away. It's almost been impossible. I can't even plan 2 weeks ahead at the moment. So um, you do have to be aware of it. Obviously, we know when the buy rounds are. You know when these players are going to be off, and when Origin is. Definitely be conscious of it too. Like obviously, the first buy round's 13. Origin's lingering around the same sort of time frame. You just want to be able to like field 13 players. Obviously, it's just your highest scoring 13 in the buy rounds. You do get 3 trades as well without boosting per buy round too, if you did want to pump through those trades. So there is a way out. Um, it's not as bad unless you really get caught out with, a lot of players that aren't playing in that same round and you can't field a team. It's going to be a problem. But it's more about backing up, I would say, than the actual buy rounds themselves. They're kind of easy to manage because you can definitely field 13 players, and then if you need to trade those players out to get some others back, you might be wasting them at the time, but at least you can field a team. I think you just got to be aware about who usually backs up when their fixtures are. If they're later, if they're like it's Sunday game after Origin or something, and they've got a better chance for it. But it just takes a bit of digging. I think we might have to just have a look into it closer to the day. Um, See who's got the longest turnarounds for it and kind of target them. Maybe probably 3 weeks out. I would say. You probably get a good lead into it that way. But at the moment, like a lot of the guns play in State of Origin. Like half the Panthers are gone. You pretty much know what the back line will look like most of the time, give or take with Queensland anyway. Um, with the Blues, I'm still waiting to see, how many fullbacks we like to put in there. But um, obviously, the Warriors are such an exemption from it too that you can kind of just go run with a whole bunch of them. The Dolphins will have a good amount of players too because their buy run's pretty nice through after 13. So there is teams that have a big perk to them at that time. So yeah, like if you're looking at Fanua Blakes and all that kind of stuff, or Tohu's or Mitch Barnett, any of those guys in the forwards, you're going to be able to ride those guys for weeks. Sean Johnson's a perfect example of someone to run through with the through State of Origin. Hopefully Hines isn't named and doesn't get picked for the Supercoach sake of things. I think for the Blues, he might actually do pretty good at the moment, but there's a player that you can lock in. So there's your two halves, but it's 5 weeks away. If they manage him well enough between now and then, it might be worth swapping Cleary back to Sean Johnson in 5-6 weeks time. Like it's obviously you're pumping trades out, but got to play eyes up, I guess. I
I
definitely want
think,
to have Cleary for the next 6 weeks personally. So
yeah, the one answer I'll give to that as well is that just because this year's has been such a shit fight so far, I don't think we have the luxury as super coaches to be able to try and think that far ahead either. Because I just feel like this year has been so different to other years that I've played in terms of just the star power and super coach relevant players. How many have been injured and been impacted, and super coaches have been impacted by a lot of this. Normally, like you'll see some of these big injuries, and it's sort of like players that aren't necessarily super coach relevant players. Like they're good players, but they just haven't been relevant. Where this year it just feels like week in, week out, we're getting two, three, four, sometimes five players that are in teams and in a lot of teams. They're getting out for not just a week or two where normally players will hold them. They're out for extended periods of time. So you're getting like the Pongas are out for 12 weeks. The Foggies are out for 12 weeks. Moses is out for 10 weeks. So we're getting these players who are out for a lengthy periods of time, which are the period of time where you do have to sell. So we're not having that chance to hold on to some of these players and going, all right, it'd be good to hold on to so and so. Like, let's say if SJ got injured this weekend, it'd be great to hold on to SJ because I know I've got coverage for Origin, where he could be out for say 8 weeks and you've lost that. So it is, I think, just about it's just a hard time for super coaches to do any sort of planning because I think me and Jesse we talk every week and stuff and try and make some plans out and by I think the second Friday game, so there's only been 3 games, their plans are out the window because they've already got fires that we've got to put out. It's just been that kind of a year.
yeah,
So it's awesome to try and plan. Like definitely always try and have some sort of plan in place, but it's just impossible this year. Second game for the Anzac Days, obviously the ritual, I guess, the one that gets Jesse up and about on Thursday. It's the Dragons versus the Roosters, and I sense he's a little bit nervous more than normal for this one this year because the Dragons have started to play some pretty good football, and I think it's fair to say, and even Jesse admitted this on the Sunday show, the Roosters are sort of missing at the moment. They're just not
oh yeah,
where they think they should be or want to be or where most of us predicted them to be. So for the Dragons, no surprises at all here. No changes, but just keep an eye on Jack Bird is on the reserves list. So Lomax could be a late switch back to that wing. I thought the center would impact him. That's why I didn't trade him on the week. And I got in Garrick instead. And goodness me, I regret that because Senna did absolutely nothing at all to pull his scores. He just seems like he's just in a rare piece of form. Um, in a way, I feel like it's too late to jump on him now because I think it's just the only way is maybe down for him. So you're just getting in. I just think it's so hard to keep
Yeah,
up and up and up for Supercoach when you're coming from someone who really hasn't really been Supercoach relevant in the past. So yeah, that one for Lomax. For the Roosters, though, Dom Young and Sam Walker are back in the side on the run-on side. Dom Young obviously goes to the wing, which pushes Suali'i to the centre, and Michael Jennings, his quick little hurrah in the NRL has come to an end for now. The way the backline's going there, he'll be back probably the next couple of weeks. So we'll
it
see what
will.
happens there. But Connor Watson goes back to the bench, and Zach Docker Clay drops off the bench. So, Jesse, any Supercoach relevancy in this one?
Well, obviously, Sam Walker's back. He is so cheap now. Um, See how long he can keep his legs going for. Like, if he can actually get a run out and not get knocked out again, he's such a good little player too when he's running. So yeah, he's like low 400s. That's such a nice price to get Sam Walker at if you can
Oh,
keep a bit of form going. But yeah, so like there's really nice cheap alternatives at the moment. Crichton's still definitely a buy if you haven't got him. Victor Radley playing 80 minutes every single game now. Like, obviously, he's under the radar. I'm so worried about him getting sent, though. Every time you see him out there, you're thinking he's going to get binned.
he's turned a corner. I'll give him
He has,
credit. He's been
yeah.
very good this year.
He's been really good. He's just been chipping away these solid performances. He's been in try scoring form too, which is insane. So yeah, unspoken really, but has moments. So I'm waiting for that brain fade to happen this week. But yeah, Manu's up 800k odd, so is Lomax. Like, they're both so pricey. It was funny too, like last week, there was only about 20, 30k in between Garrick and Lomax. Now they're 200k apart. It's insane.
How good Supercoach?
Yeah, no, he was always going back to the wing in a week's time. So it was one of those, you could have just made the punt. But again, I'm not a fan. I still think the Roosters get up for this one. Um, I just think, yeah, this is their full strength team back. This is as good as it really gets for them. So Um, it should be a good game though. It always is this clash, the Dragons and Roosters. One of my best mates is a massive Dragon supporter, so we usually put money on it, and he usually
Oh,
wins,
look out!
unfortunately. So I'm
I
not
think
fun.
there's a few concerned super coaches out there who want to know what's going on with Terrell May. Do you have any word as a Roosters fan what is going on, or is this just Trent
Well,
Robinson at the
every
moment is
time,
playing roulette with his
yeah, I don't
forwards,
know.
and he's
I don't know if he missed the bus again, or if it's just that's the rotation. I'm not sure, man, but it's pretty noticeable. Whenever he plays low minutes, they fucking lose and they play like shit. So, you don't have to be a rocket scientist, put one and two together. Like, you just go, okay, cool. Low minutes, plays like shit. Give the guy more minutes. It's just black and white. He should be starting, but, what do you do? I think obviously with the way that the bench is set up, Connor Watson, Spells, Smith, White, Butcher, I don't think it's any different to how it's been. He could play 50 or he could play 25. Like, it's just a lucky dip at the moment. Um,
yeah.
I think with this kind of game, they might utilize the forwards, but who knows? Who knows? I'm still not looking at moving him on though, even still. Um, Even at his price, like if there's any other options, I don't think so. He's still the best. He's got the highest ceiling for anyone in the 500s.
Yeah.
Um, Definitely not considering trading him out, but I just hope he gets fucking good minutes, man. His ownership's so high that it's irrelevant anyway, so kind of run with it. But yeah. To the Dragons though, Ben Hunt, big game last week. Couple of meat pies there, I think, or whatever he did. He scored 100 points or something, so it was massive. But he's still cheap, considering I think he's in like 600s. I feel like that's
Oh,
pretty good for this year. Yeah, he's been just sort of going well. Like, he hasn't priced himself too far out of it, but he's been very impressive. Um, but again, it's all these players too that I look at, and just in the past, you just think about them and go, I wouldn't consider them an option. Terrell
yeah.
Sloan, I don't like him. I'm not going to do it, but keep scoring tries. So it's like, when do you have to just rip the band-aid off and just start getting in these ugly players that are scoring well and go against the grain? But yeah, I think not much going outside of that. a lot of the forwards, again, we said it last week, they're all good options, but they're all priced up now. Wouldn't touch any of
With
them.
I think Jacob Little spoke about at the start of the year about a possible option, and if you do have him now with the news of Anu Brown, they're on that 14 role, playing some minutes now. It seems like I just think if you still have him, I think it's time to get off. Just try and change that up there. And Little for mine's just going to keep decreasing points wise, and as Brown gets more and more minutes, so I just think he's probably a get off there. Melbourne
Yeah.
Storm versus the South Sydney Rabbitohs in the final game. So Storms continue to get their home Anzac game as well. Just not the Warriors for once. It is the South Sydney Rabbitohs. And a couple of changes here, some interesting ones for the Melbourne Storm, though. No changes at all. So obviously beat the Roosters on the weekend. Craig Bellamy is very happy with how they're playing. Nelson Asot from Solomona is named to start, but probably anticipate him to go back to the bench like he did last week as well. So what happens there. For the Rabbitohs, probably need a couple of minutes to try and go through all this. Damien Cook is back. So apparently 1 week is enough to send the message, whatever that message was. Jason Demetrio, we forgot about him. Brad Arthur and Adam O'Brien and the like have all taken the pressure off him this week, but let's not forget he's the coach under the most pressure at the moment. So his record, Peter Mamazoulis is back to the bench. The shock, Jai Arrow is actually back from his shoulder injury. Apparently, I felt like it was last week we're getting told he was basically out for the year, and now he's named. So I don't know what is going on there, but apparently what happened was he chose to not do his surgery that would have definitely ruled him out, and he's decided to just do it sort of naturally, I guess, and just have the recovery, etc., and just keep working on it week to week. So I don't know how long he's going to last with that sort of injury, but hey, at least he's there. Jesse's boy, Tavita Totola, is obviously out, which brings Shaq Mitchell into the starting side. And Jacob Gagai, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I actually sold him. I finally had enough of holding on to him. It looked like he was never going to get a chance again. He is actually back with Tyrone Munro out with that broken collarbone. And the players like Thompson is on the reserve. So he's actually been preferred ahead of Thompson this week. So, Jesse, a bit going on for South Sydney. There's not much for the Storm, but South Sydney, I think, is where it's at.
Yeah, there's like Jai Gray's kept into that fullback spot, so I don't think it was anything new there. But in Supercoach he's only a 5'8", and not something you really want to bring in for anyway, so completely irrelevant there. Jacob Gagai comes in again, -12 break even. So if you've kept him for 7 weeks after he got dropped, don't know what you're doing with that, but yeah, good job. Well done. He's going to make you some money. Well, if he gets named one more time, that's the problem. So he's still a week away from a price rise, but it's incoming. It's just bide your time on it. White and Tasmill. Dean Hawkins again, negative break even, -5 though. Not an option. Definitely not something you want to be looking at. So it's just there's a lot of changes, but there's nothing exciting. There's nothing that says this team's going to get up on the Storm though. It's such an inexperienced backline too. There's only like 2 players in there that you'd be wanting to bank on a little bit. White and potentially Cody Walker, probably not. I'm very interested to see how this game pans out.
As a Pappy owner, I'm starting to lick my lips with this matchup.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
starting to think this could be a game where Pappy finally shows what I've got him in for, and I'm very, very tempted at this stage because I don't know who I'm going to replace Pong with at this stage. Having the VC on Pappy and just seeing how that plays out.
well, as a non-Pappy owner who has Ponga, I'm looking at Pappy. Yeah,
Cha-ching.
that's pretty much it. Yeah, I'm looking just getting straight Pappenhausen in. I know obviously Reece Welsh is the flavour of the month, but I can't do it. He's hard to ignore, but Pappenhausen's Pap. He hasn't looked fantastic in the last couple of weeks, but I just don't see how he can't do something against this Rabbits team. They look so bad. Seamless is
They've
rough.
got a sort of decent draw coming up as well. So for the Storm, the next 5, they've got South, Titans, Sharks, Eels, Manly. So it's sort of like there's a number of teams I look in there and I just see Pappy 100 plus in it. Like I'll just go, oh yeah, I'll keep him in here at the moment. I'll let this ride out.
Yeah. It's obviously there's a couple of games in there that you might think, obviously the Sharks are on top of the table, so I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park for them because their defense has been solid. But yeah, you look at Parramatta recently and you're thinking that could be an easy one for them. Even Manly too. Like Titans did a number on them, so you got lucky to win in the end. But it could be a really good run for Melbourne. Just kind of see how it pans out. But I think it starts here. That Melbourne team looks great. Looks as good as really. Blaw's been very, very solid for his price. He's been doing what Katoa's been doing without any tries, and he's about 190k or so cheaper thereabouts. So definitely good second rowers that they've got kicking at the moment. My boy Eli Katoa got a massive rescore this week. Went from 69 to 85. Meant nothing in the end. I lost every head to head again, but it was good to see. It was good to see him go up. So my second row looks, dandy, but it's the rest of the plebs in the back. But yeah, no, it's gonna be a good watch this. It's good to see the Rabbits
Uh,
get smoked.
we are enjoying our Supercoach experience so far this year.
It's fun.
Friday game, there's only the one, Manly versus Parramatta. Fuck's sake, as a Para fan, this scares the shit out of me. Turbo, Tommy Turbo, straight C, just looks so good if you have him. Oh shit! For this Manly Seagulls, Josh Alloway returns from suspension, so that pushes Matt Lodge to the bench. Aaron Woods goes to the 18th man. Nathan Brown is also back on deck against his old club. Has a point to prove. Everyone knows him and Brad Arthur don't get along, so he expects him to just come off the back fence and blow everyone off the park. So for the Eels, though, there is a number of changes, some good, some bad, some what the actual fuck. But anyway, youngster Ethan Sanders is in at 5'8". Phil Brand continues to get named at halfback. And somehow we keep thinking he's not going to be playing halfback, but he actually does end up playing halfback each and every week so far. So I don't know what the hell's going on there, but just, yeah.
Surely they
Well,
swap. Surely it's a swap on game day.
you'd think so. Mike Acevo's back. Russell is dropped. Why Mike Acevo's there, I don't know. Blaze Salungi has been dropped and Luca Moretti as well. Two young guns that I don't know why they're dropped. They bring some energy. Brendan Hands is on the bench as well. So it looks like Lussick won't be playing an 80-minute role. Actually, no, sorry, he'll probably play about 78 minutes and Hands will get about 2 minutes, knowing Brett Arthur. That's about it. Kalma Tuolangi is on the bench as well against his old club. So I'm over talking about Parramatta for a week, Jesse. So take it away. You can talk Supercoach relevancy for either of these teams.
Well, for relevancy, I suppose just, speaking on ownership, obviously Lussick's, he's got a really low break even at the moment because he's had a couple of good games in the last couple of weeks for scoring wise. I think in, watching them, it's been a bit painful. But I think his break even, just trying to find it, I think it's about 14, top of my head. So I was looking to move him this week, but I think I might keep him. Obviously, the Eels bye is next week, I'm pretty sure.
The buy,
Is it?
yeah. Yeah.
The bye is next week, so it'll be an easy swap next week. You try to take a bit more of his cash and hope he ends up somewhere around that 460 mark and just move him on. So yeah, he's rode his course out quite well. There's a lot of forwards that are dropping, massively in price. Ryan Madison is starting out with Bryce Cartwright out, so I'm not sure what happened there for Bryce Cartwright to be out. Do you know?
I reckon
Did he get
he
injured?
was forced to play earlier than he was ready to play. He hasn't done anything in the last 2 weeks that he was named. So he's sort of just been a passenger. I think they've just finally bit the bullet and said go and actually recover properly for another couple of weeks and come back fully fit.
Okay, well, I like Ryan Madison, so I just want to see him, with a bit of gusto about his game because they've all been shit. But he's so cheap, man. He's really, really low in price now. So there's a couple there. Gutho doesn't look good. His knee looks like shit whenever he's out there. So um, my hot take a couple of weeks ago about him being the highest averaging fullback in the next few rounds, very, very wrong. But yeah, Gutho. Oh, sorry, Madison 449. That's a juicy price. 84 break even, so you can still get him lower, but just have to see how long he's even out there for, because could be a real sneaky one. Probably shit, but sneaky. Yeah, Ethan Sanders. It's a shame that he's starting now after he's already gone signed for the Raiders. Probably a little bit too late.
Shame it wasn't a few weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. If they should have just done it then. So yeah, just waiting to see Dylan Brown. He'll probably be on the left, back to where he should. I'm keen to see how he goes. He's been so rough to watch and have in the last couple of weeks. You just watched him thinking he seems to be scraping these scores together as well at the end. Like just got this garbage try to give him a 60 odd, get a reasonable good score out of him, and you think, fuck, I don't want to be doing this every week with Dylan Brown, but it's not worth moving him on at the moment because he's just getting the points. But I wouldn't really touch him. Then they don't look good, man. Anything you want to say about your Eels?
No, I'm over talking about him. Manly, I
Manly?
think
Oh, Tommy
Turbo
Turbo?
captaincy option.
Yeah, I think Turbo as a captain option is huge this week. I think he just goes ballistic. But you said that about the Titans last week too, and his first 20 minutes was wild. I'm thinking he was on for 150 points by the end of that game, and it just sort of dried up in the second half. Nothing come of it. So I just don't know what's happening with him at the moment. Hey, um, he's been really consistent in the 80s, but I've just been wanting those. Or as a non-owner, I've been wanting him to do real bad, but just in general, I've just been expecting him to be putting more 120s out. So he's an easy swap for Ponga straight across if you don't have him. I'm about 15k short of doing the trade that I really want to do without boosting. So I don't think I'll be using my fourth boost just to accommodate Turbo and Cleary. Um, but I can't knock anyone for getting Turbo in this week and then waiting a week on Cleary. It's a very smart and safe play. Ruben Garrick got him in last week to ride the scores out. Knew he did bad break even. Didn't really think about it too much. I didn't care about it. I thought he'll be my safe lock-in center wing play for the next 8+ weeks. And now he's dirt cheap, and I could have saved 100k on him. So I think it was his lowest score in a very long time. If you've got him, don't sell him yet. Just keep riding him out. It's just rough. I'm a Luke Brooks owner, and I don't want to be after this week. So that'll be a Cleary swap for me, I think. Straight across. Yeah, and then Olakau'atu continues to be like a massive premium second row gun, still killing it. So there's so many options for Manly this week, and just in general, I think it's going to be very high scoring for him.
I
Sorry,
agree.
mate.
Next game up, the West Tigers versus the Brisbane Broncos. Broncos starting to hit some really good form. Tigers just needed a few things to probably go their way, and probably a better kicking game on the weekend to really challenge Penrith, but they sort of definitely are improving. So for the Tigers, that rugby sevens convert, Solomon Alamolo, will make his debut. So he's coming in for Junior Tupu on the wing. Really keen to see how he goes, actually. So he's obviously got a bit of speed, bit of skill. Keen to see what he's got moving forward, because obviously Junior Tupu is off to the Dolphins next year. So a spot does open up there. Interesting if he can kill it, make a real indent against one of the premiership favourites in the Broncos. What happens there moving forward for the Tigers? Because they want to probably think about the future as well as prioritise some results this year. There's a change in the forwards with Fanua Pole dropping back to the bench, John Bateman switching from second row to the lock, and Sam Fainu comes in to start on the edge. So, tell you what, Fanua Pole has been just thrown in and out of everywhere. It feels like this year. One week he seems like a good buy. He was getting some good early points. I remember I got him in one of my drafts or something. I was like, oh, yeah, sweet. And then he's just disappeared. So don't
Yep.
know what's happened there. For the Broncos, big ins, big ins. And when I say that, it doesn't get much bigger than Payne Haas, Adam Reynolds, and Brendan Piakura, which I'm very, very keen to have a chat about. But in saying that, they do lose two of their guns in Ezra Mam and Selwyn Cobbo, both out through injury as well. So got to take the good with the bad there. Unfortunately, a couple of losses. They're not going to be full strength for this game, but getting Haas and Reynolds back is huge. And Brendan Piakura, Jesse, I tell you, I don't know if many have held on to him. I know I certainly didn't, but I'm already tempted to get him back in. I've got to be honest. There's just something about him that just screams to me, super coach. Yes. As soon as he can be consistently playing some football, damn, I reckon he'd be right up there.
Yeah, obviously we haven't seen too much of him to sort of warrant it. He's got a low score, and because he got knocked out too, like there's that 1 or 4, I think it was, that was sitting in his rolling average still. So um, he's still held by 13% of teams. So obviously bigger
Wow.
priorities, and yeah, it's quite a lot. It's almost 20,000 people still kept him in their side this long. So um, break even's 23, so you'd think he makes that pretty easily. I don't know if I'd be wanting to trade him in though. Like by now, my second row looks fine. Most people's would, unless you wanted to cash down from someone um, like a like a Morgan Smithies. Like if you wanted to get off that with
I want to get rid of Sean Lane because I'm just personal vendetta, hatred. I don't want him in my team anymore.
yeah, well that makes a bit more sense. So you're Sean Lane, you save what 60K going to Piakura, better break even, better run, better team, but yeah, it's definitely just a sideways kind of move. If you needed 50K and you just couldn't find it anywhere, I wouldn't hate it, but I wouldn't rush to do it. Not yet. I still don't think he's going to be a world beater like we're kind of hoping, but his average is deflated because of that low score. Um, Obviously, Haas is back this round, which is huge. He's obviously very expensive, and Origin's coming around. The whole front row situation doesn't look great, but yeah, it's always nice to see Payne Haas in the team. Do you have any interest of getting him in the side though? Like, would you be looking to pot it up and go Haas front heavy?
He's one, like I say, don't worry about Origin and stuff, but he's actually one that for me now, like we've always sort of spoken about front rows as being one of those meh sort of positions. If I was to go a big gun right now, I'd probably go for Aiden Fanil Blake because I know he doesn't play Origin and won't get impacted by that. For Payne
Yeah,
Haas, I got no doubt will have him in my team at some point. It'll be more likely to be towards the end of this year, though, for the finals run. Then get him in now, knowing that he has had some injuries early on this season, knowing that big schedule's coming up when it has Origin, and then as you said, resting players and stuff. I don't think right now I want to prioritize or try to get Payne Haas into my team.
yeah, no, it's fair. He hasn't actually had any price adjustments either. He was injured enough for round two, so his break even's about yeah, it's 98, which you'd still think he doesn't hit. Like 98's quite high, even for Haas. He's usually like a high 70s kind of player in general. So you can get him a little bit cheaper. Obviously, there's no rush for it at the moment, but want to keep an eye on if he does get a bit lower. Um, as far as it goes, Reece Walsh is in such a massive talking point this week. He's basically bottomed out in price. Very relevant for anyone that has Ponga, I would say, is the clear and obvious straight swap. Um, he is in the low 600s with about a 42 break even. It's a very smart and easy swap again. Um, but his scores are so attack dependent. Um, like every week that he's played, even last week, he scored 38 points with a try and he was kicking. Well, the week before last, because he obviously got the 110, but he just did everything to get 110. Like he has to move mountains to get that kind of score. But it's very hard to ignore him at his price, 616, I think it is. So, your thoughts about going Ponga to Walsh?
It scares the living shit out of me.
Yeah.
Um, it's not a play that I want to do, but the more I look at certain things, like I look at their next five, knowing the bias coming up after that. Obviously, the Tigers this weekend and the Roosters at home at Suncorp. You just don't know what sort of Roosters team will turn up. The Eels, Manly at Magic Ground, and Magic Ground's a stage where I reckon Reece Walsh, if he's there, he's fit. He'll want to
Mm.
just light that stage up. That just screams to me Reece Walsh, and then the Titans after that as well. So even though it's very attack dependent, I can actually see with that run, him getting those attacking stats, and it scares me to know right now I've got the chance to go over to him. I know about 2, 3 weeks ago, we were literally saying on here, Reece Walsh, no, like just don't do it. Don't do that to yourself. But I'm now starting to think I can do it for a short term little. And I've always said, I'm happy with my fullbacks to become this position where I'm trading in and out every 4 or 5 weeks, trying to chase the runs and timing it with players. And we said for Reece Walsh, the only way you would get him in is if you can time it for a good run. And I reckon
Yep.
we're just about there. I think this is probably the start of it was last week. Looking back on it, we just missed that one, but I don't think it's too late yet to go from Ponga to Reece Walsh. And the more I talk about it even now, like the more I'm feeling like I will take that gamble, because we said at the start of this show, we're going to take those sorts of gambles. And you're not a Pappy owner, so I can understand the Pappy play because the Storm have a good run coming up as well. I am a Pappy player. So Walsh and Pappy together, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of shit
Ooh,
there, but there's also a lot
yeah.
of come and get me type things there as well. And yeah, I'm very tempted, and I think I will be leaning that way the more I think about it.
Yeah, it's just like obviously with the amount of cash that we sort of leaked out recently, and um, you can recoup a lot of it with Walsh. Obviously, you
Yeah.
can look at last year and you saw his runs, and there was massive games, man. He was putting hundreds out. Again, he was just pumping tries, but like that's fine if he's doing that, and he's the guy, scoring the tries and making all of that happen on pretty much a weekly basis. Then you can kind of let it go and just say, look, his base is dog shit. It's not there. But if anyone's going to break a line and be on the inside, it's going to be Reece Walsh every single time. So you just take it. I knew watching
And
last week.
Reynolds
Oh,
helps his game out so much. Like the thing is,
yeah,
Reynolds coming back doesn't deter me. It actually makes me more keen to get him because it actually free Reece Walsh up a hell of a lot more. He doesn't need to do any more of that organising stuff that he's been doing the last few weeks. He literally just focuses on those sweeping plays, etc. And that just speaks line breaks, tries, offloads, the like. So
yeah, and it's like even the addition of Haas too, like having that forward pack, stepping it up for him too. Having Reynolds back in, it takes the kicking off him, off Walsh. So there's a little bit of points he does drop, but again, it opens his game a lot more. So you could expect, anything that he would have made in kicking, he'll get in 2 line breaks. So
yeah,
he'll be fine with it. But it's so hard to ignore it. If he was 750, I wouldn't look at it at all. Even if he was 700, I probably wouldn't look at it. But he's closer to 600, and it's
yeah.
kind of hard to ignore that. You're saving, especially if you're doing a Ponga swap, you're saving over 200K doing that move. Um, it gives you money to do anything really, depending on what moves you want to make. It's just considering the options at the moment. Just go through them. Dylan Edwards, he's almost 900K. Cleary's back. I don't see his output being as high as it was, so he's not really as much of an option. Scott Drinkwater, I find always is an option anyway because he's great. Just a low week last round, and he got the Panthers this week, so you can definitely afford to wait on it. Shans, Pod, you know, if you're willing to take that risk, but there's no Latrell. You wouldn't go Teddy with his monster break even anyway. Um, no Rapana, no Gutherson either. There's just no one else. Like the options that we had, there were so many of them. They've all dried up. So it's like, who are you running with? Because you probably have at least one of Turbo, Pap, um, Drinkwater already out of those three. They're the last man standing really for the viable fullbacks. It kind of makes sense to go Reece Walsh at this rate. Make some money out of him if you can. Maybe flip him off to someone else when Origin starts. That kind of seems like a game plan to me. But then again, you can just run with Pappenhausen in the meantime instead. You're not going to have the Origin worries about it, but he's slightly dearer. I think that price they balance out next week. They're not going to be any different in price next round. So yeah, where do we go from here? I just don't
I
like.
like I'm liking it more and more. And on that note, I don't think there's anything really to talk about when it comes to the West Tigers. So I'm just going
Oh,
to
there
move
is
on.
actually. There is
Oh,
one. Samuel Afenu. He becomes a great option.
talk
I
to
was
me.
gonna get to them before. So he has had a bit of a price increase already since the beginning of the season. But the nice thing is that he's a dual forward. He's a second row and a front row. He's starting on the edge there. It's 350k, 37 break even, and his points per minute have actually been really, really solid. 1.3 in a 58-minute game against the Raiders. He scored 75. 33 and 46, 55 and 37. Just last round, he scored 61 points against the Panthers in 59 minutes. He's
Wow.
he's done some really good things, and he's a jewel. They have a pretty decent run, I suppose, coming through after the Broncos. They got the Bulldogs, Knights, Dolphins, Cowboys, Dragons. They're all leaky teams. He's just been very solid through the middle. If you needed an option to go down, especially like front row to second row, either or, I don't mind it at all, man. He's been traded in by 1,100 people already this week, and I don't think it's too bad. It's an easy way to free up some money. But yeah, good little play there. And I'm interested to see how Bateman goes at lock too. He's done it before and been decent. So a couple of nice draft players popping up at the moment, I would say, with all these little replacements filling in. But I'd say at the moment, out of anyone in the Tigers side, obviously Garvin's a beast. But yeah, Fainu is the most appealing. Just see how long you can keep that spot locked down for. Obviously, he's coming off the bench in the middles anyway. I still feel like off the bench he's actually been pretty good regardless. So yeah, good player.
I actually don't mind the Bateman's lock play either to help Bainu keeping that position moving forward. I actually feel like Bateman's turning into that sort of lock role anyway. So it's like
Mm,
a natural progression for him. And I think we'll see what happens. Obviously, it's a hard
yeah,
game against the Broncos, but hopefully Benji can just sort of keep trying things. He's obviously that's what he's doing this year. He's trying stuff with this lineup and building for next year when a couple more signings like Luai does come on board. Now,
yeah,
the North Queensland Cowboys versus the Penrith Panthers. Jesse, I feel like it would be a bit of a worried owner with the current Cowboys. We're not sure which Cowboys is going to turn up. The weekend was absolute they were putrid. There's no other ways to describe that. Todd Payton has resisted the urge to make mass changes, so he's kept majority of the team. The only changes are Griffin Neem comes into the starting prop for Jason Tamalolo, who goes onto the bench. And Jack Gajeski is out of the 17, and Thomas McKaylee comes back onto the bench. He was a very popular purchase at the
yeah,
start of the year. He was making some really good points there. For the Penrith Panthers, though, it's Nathan Cleary time, baby. He is back after that round 3 hamstring injury. And it seems like he wasn't rushed either. Like it seems like they've taken their time with him. So the Cowboys let in a lot of points. This is what scares me. I will start to talk about this just quickly. Taylor May has been named and he's back after his personal reasons, which was probably a suspension that they didn't want to make public after that stupid video that was posted online that I think everyone's seen. Dylan Edwards is named despite coming off injured towards the back end of that game as well. So just keep an eye on that if you are a Dylan Edwards owner. But Nathan Cleary, let's talk first about that one. He's back. And as I
yeah,
said, the Cowboys matchup with a leaky defense, very, very scary. If you're not going this week on Cleary, you simply have to go him next week because look at this run. You got the Cowboys, South Sydney, Bulldogs, which I now said we will respect, but it is at home, so it's at Penrith, so they're just a different kettle of fish there. The Warriors at Magic Round, and then the Sharkies at home in Penrith as well. So there's a pretty enticing little period coming up. As an SJ owner, I think I will make the move next week. I just will trust SJ to do the job this week against the Titans, and just hope to God Nathan Cleary just takes it easy this week just to get back into things. But I'm very, very scared. I don't blame anyone if they've either kept him or they're bringing him straight back in this week. I can't fault that at all.
yeah. I am rushing him in, to be honest with you. I've been waiting for this week to come. I was waiting for it last week, hoping it would show up, and it never did. So, yeah, look, I'm not worried about getting him back in for it. I think they did probably give him an extra week more than he needed just to really make sure. Because it has been quite a long layoff of what was meant to be just a minor, very minor looking little twing that he had. But I don't know, man. There's all this talk about you got to give him another week. Is it too early? I'm like, well, was it a hamstring injury or not? Like, I don't think it really was. It could have been, and they kind of just, downplayed it a little bit, but 880K with an 80 break even. It's 80 break even for Cleary. Like, I feel like that he's going to
Probably
make
won't
money
get
on
him any
that.
cheaper.
No, no, he's going to make money on an 80, surely. Especially against how the Cowboys been going. Every week the Cowboys have been letting tries in for fun. They've just been outscoring everyone, so that's the only reason they've been winning. But I think it's a nice matchup for him. The run looks good. He's obviously going to want to get a bit of form as well, leading up to Origin too. So I do see Cleary doing quite a bit of work, and he'll just want to get back into it too. Surely, like he's been out for a while now. He's got a you know point to prove, especially after Hines is probably going to make his way up again as well. Like they're always comparing the two together. So um, yeah, I'll be going straight back to him for sure. But you're going to wait a week. Makes sense too. Doesn't hurt to
I
wait.
don't know. I keep thinking about it now, and I think I might. It just means if I do it, I have to do a boost. I reckon because I've got my
Well, what do you
mind
plan on
set on
doing,
just getting rid of
SJ?
Lane.
Oh, what for Piakura?
No, or maybe I don't know. I've got some things in my head popping up, so I don't know yet. I
Well,
might
if you're
have a
gonna go
surprise for
Ponga to
everyone.
Walsh,
I won't talk about my trades this week, guys.
oh
By the way, I haven't had time to look at anything yet, but
yeah,
look at the post on Thursday. You will see my trades, and
yeah.
that means I'll
But
be
like,
left with one boost. I don't know if I'm ready to be left with one boost with the way this Supercoach season's going.
man, there's some players doing really well at the moment with no boost, and they just pumped them all out. They forgot about them. Forget the boost. I'm just gonna go in. When Origin comes around, we do get the three or the buy rounds. We get the three trades too, so you can kind of use them as well as boost in a way. But if you boost in those weeks, you get four. Like it's very handy. Um, but yeah, I don't know.
I think I've got to go him. Cowboys are so just,
You
oh
can't. It's
man.
just any week that Cleary plays and you don't have him, you're just doing yourself out. You know, like he,
I'll
he's an
go
even.
him.
He's a good
I'll
captain.
go
He's a
him.
good captain play. Ponga.
Fucking Sean Lane's gonna have to stay with me again. Fuck's sake.
Oh, it's not the worst thing in the world. Could be worse. But yeah, Ponga to
It is
Walsh.
against Manly.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You might want to put it on him. It has been a little while since he's there, but
Ugh.
nah, they could just shut him
Oh, and
down.
let's not go back there. Let's keep going. What about the Cowboys? You're an owner of Drinky, Val Holmes,
Yeah.
etc. Are you getting a little bit
Um.
concerned with this little form drop,
mm,
or
Not really. Like I knew this game and last week were going to be hard for them. It was obvious too. Like they weren't the easiest run of games that they had, but their draw opens up massively after this game. So obviously I'm not going to go anywhere with him. I don't expect him to go ballistic. I remember Drinkwater played the Panthers in the last game. Well, the Cowboys played the Panthers last round last year, round 27, and I needed a good week from Drinkwater to get me a bit higher up in the rankings, and it didn't happen. He scored 29 points. So, no, I think Turbo's been the only fullback really to put a good score against Penrith this year. But I don't see it happening for Drinkwater this week. I think if you're going to do it, if you're going to get him in instead of everyone else, you do it next round. But yeah, I've still got faith that he does something. His base has been very solid, so like I don't think the attacking stats will be there, but the base will be nice. In that game against the Broncos, where Adam Reynolds is putting bombs in on him the whole game, and he made like fucking 6 errors and dropped everything. He still scored 70 something. So like you take that out of a shocker. Um, so I think he's good. Obviously, Val Holmes has kind of saved with this try. Got a 54. He's dried up a little bit recently, but he's still the best centre wing option. Not looking at selling him out. And yeah, he's 800K, so it's the same price as Lomax, but I'd still rather have Val Holmes, just out of principle,
I
really.
don't blame you. And with
Yeah,
the run coming up, I'm getting a bit scared not having him. So there
yeah.
is some thoughts in the back of my mind about getting.
Well, just on that run, like obviously they've got Penrith this week. There's Dolphins, Titans, South, Tigers. They play in round 13, which is handy because a lot of these other teams don't have a round 13 game. They play the Roosters, so it's not the best, but it's still a game that they're playing. Then they got round 14 Warriors, 15 it's the Raiders. So like it's a pretty long stretch of games that they've got where they're half decent. Like, you definitely take them. And then, yeah, Drinkwater's another player too that you don't have to really worry about Origin for. Deserves a spot in, but it's a different story. So, and then, yeah,
He
any of the
becomes
other
an
forwards
option.
too. Drinkwater, he's been an option all
Yeah,
season.
I'm just
He's been an
for
option since
Ponga.
round
I'm
one.
I'm thinking he might be the one that everyone's forgetting about because of the matchup this weekend, and they're not thinking after that. It's like, "Oh, no, Penrith, no, no, no." Like,
Oh, well, even
do you
still,
take the
like, if
50
I
points or whatever you're gonna get with him, and
no,
then just
no, you just hold Ponga this week. Drinkwater's break even is 156. He's never gonna get it. He'll be, potentially low 800s, maybe 800K this round. So, save your coin, save your money this week. If you wanna go Ponga to Drinkwater, 100% just wait and do it next week, if that's the plan, because it's a very good one. Um, I've already got him. I've had him since round one, so I'm not gonna make that move, obviously. Don't need to, but if I didn't have him, he would be the one that I'd probably target, especially with that round 13 too, because I've got a lot of players at the moment that don't play round 13. No Origin, plays round 13, and a really good run. Like, he will be the guy. And I think next week you'll probably see a lot of ownership spiking in him as well. But besides that, when you start looking at the forwards, Reece Robson's obviously really expensive now, 700 odd, high break even too, but he's been really good. I reckon he gets picked for the Blues. Um, Ruben Cotter has just been plodding away with his mid 50s, just doing a job. There's a absolute weapon for the Maroons, but um, this bad game, like with the Panthers game, I think Ruben Cotter does a good job. I think they probably keep him out there for 70 minutes thereabouts because they're going to need that work through the middle. But he's just been a really consistent, good option to play as a dual forward. Like, I've actually he's been the least headache that I've had. As much as I want to upgrade him and change him to someone solid with a big ceiling, um, I haven't had found the time to do it. And you've got him as well. Can't really complain. It's not great, but definitely not something to try and rush out of your team for. Still, yeah, there's not much else. Semi Velame's in. Tom Chester hasn't got his dual yet. Maybe when he's a dual center, you start looking at him as an option. But when the draw opens up, I think for the Cows.
we will see. The Sunday game, Dolphins versus the Newcastle Knights is the 2 o'clock game. For the Dolphins, just the one change. Kurt Donahue returns from suspension, so that means Sean O'Sullivan goes back to the reserves. The rest of them is all fine. So someone like your Max Plath, very, very spoken about in Supercoach world at the moment, continues to start in that 13 role. Newcastle Knights, David Armstrong debuts, obviously taking the place of the injured Kalen Ponga. Dane Gagai is back as well in the centres, and he's the captain as well. And Jed Cartwright takes the spot on the bench, vacated by Jack Hetherington with his crazy antics we've seen on the weekend. But the Ponga, we've already spoken about Ponga a number of times now, so we don't really have to go back into him. But it was obviously a massive blow for the Newcastle Knights and for super coaches. Can't believe I'm drawing him out for a second time already this year. I had him, got him out, brought him back, jinxed him. See you later. So, whoever I bring in this week, guys, I'll just warn you, don't get them in because I'll jinx them and they'll probably be out for a 10, 12 week period of time. So, David Armstrong at the moment, obviously just to watch, just see what happens. I don't think Newcastle is going to be doing anything while Kalen Ponga is not in that team. I'm actually, to be honest, I'm quite worried about the Newcastle Knights for the remainder of this year now, off the back of that news, especially with the fact that Gamble and Hastings is still their halves pairing, which is just crazy in my mind. But Supercoach wise, I don't know if there's a whole heap. Like, obviously, with the Dolphins, they're a high attacking team on the weekend against the Eels. Max Plath has been spoken about very, very highly. I don't have him personally. I don't even have. Unfortunately, probably just a guy that, with all the cheaps that around and all the mids and stuff, just got forgotten about for me. And I don't really have an idea or a way to get him into my team. So I just probably be missing the boat there. But anyone that really sticks out?
Well, there's one play that sticks out to me because I've got a lot of interest in getting him in next round, and that's Marshall King. That's probably the only trade looking forward that I'm going to be doing Lussick to Marshall King, and I'm just trying to bank a bit of coin between now Lussick's initial price rise that he'll get. Hopefully, Marshall King drops a little bit. He's got a 70 something break even, but I've been really impressed with him. I think I'm very happy to run with him as my hooker going forward after next round. So that'll be one thing I'm doing. Isaiah Katoa's been really impressive as a 7. He's low break even, mid 400s, I think, at the moment now with a couple of price rises. So he's been really good. He's been putting out good numbers. Try Fuller had a massive game. I don't know if it's worth getting him as a fullback option. He's obviously bottom dollar. Could definitely wait another 2 weeks to see what his price jump will look like if you want to cash out and do that swap. Hammer's going to be out long enough if he can keep a fullback for you to make some good money out of him. But again, you just don't know what to expect. Could be another week for him actually to put it on the night, considering. But Max Plath again, you're just doing really good. Obviously, the dual 5'8" is very handy. He got the second row added. 380 top of my head. I can't really recall. So there's definitely an avenue to get him. You know what I mean? Like if you wanted to go Sean Lane out, I'd probably go for Plath before I went to Piakura, just because he's got that dual. You might not even need it, but it's just handy to have, especially as a second row option to move around because most of the 5'8" duals are centers. So it is a nice one to have an extra one of, and he does look good. Obviously, he scored those 2 tries in like 3 minutes. So yeah, very inflated. But if he's putting himself in that position, like I know you can't be go, oh, he scored those tries. But I'm like, yeah, he scored 2 tries. Such a little weapon. Like you take it for sure. But yeah, no, Isaaco's dropped a lot in price too. So, and then alternatively, Bostock is freaking skyrocketing. Bailed off him last week, 130 points. Whoopsies, that sucks. Break even -2 now, so he's going to have another nice price increase. Probably got up another 100k, but I went Bostock to Eero, so I banked 300 doing that move. Can't complain.
I don't want to talk about it. I want to move on. I don't want to even talk about that one. The
Just
last.
on the night. I don't know how long David Armstrong keeps a position for. I think I was seeing something in the Reggies where Fletcher Sharp, I believe his name is the actual fullback there who's out, and that's why Armstrong's in. So whether they bring this Sharp guy in and then they swap him out, I'm not sure. Wouldn't make a move to get him in though. Greg Marzu. Last week I was going to go Greg Marzu or Garrick. Which one of these 2 high break even guys do I run with? Garrick was the better play, as bad as he was. So Marzu's plummeting. I do like him still if he bottoms out, but again now not so much with Ponga gone. So kind of throws the whole Knights back out of the contention to me. To be fair, I still feel like players like Gagai might do quite well regardless because he's on the other end of the heavy play and he's always consistent with his base. So if you are going to get in anyone, funnily enough, I reckon Gagai's probably the best one out of the lot. And then Kai Pearce-Paul continuing to be an absolute monster. 85 points, I think he got. He's 84
Serious.
points. Yeah, he's doing bits now. He's 570k. He started off at 345, so yeah, he's been a really nice option. Have you got him?
No,
Oh, you didn't get him.
no.
I feel like you didn't have him. Why is that? It just never
I got
happened.
no idea. I got no idea. I just had to put out different fires at the time that people
Oh
jumped on or
shit.
went for him and stuff, and I just decided not to go him at the start of the year because he wasn't named to start with, and I was worried that his minutes and that weren't there, and I didn't know a whole heap about him, so I wasn't gonna go. I thought Morgan Smith's just the guaranteed sort of points was the safer option, and yeah, I just
Yeah. As much as I didn't like doing it, I traded both Fermor for Pearce-Paul.
yeah,
So I didn't, looking back, I would have wished they kept Bo Fermor because he's doing well as well. But thinking about it, I'm not mad. Like Kai Pearce-Paul's been a freaking weapon. So he's been putting out numbers of like, you know, the proper top dogs too, like Fafita and Ola Kawatu and these guys, they've been scoring the exact same. So hopefully he keeps it up. His break even's 10, so it's never too late. I wouldn't now though, not at this rate. But yeah, have to see how things run outside of that. Brayley's minutes have been improving, but I think both of those last two games have been injury affected as well. For Crossland's been punted to any which way in that field just to cover a hole. So it's nice to have a utility like that in Crossland who can kind of play anywhere at some level, but um, still, I still feel like warrants a cash down if you've got someone like a Levi or even Lussick. If Lussick's your backup and you want to bank 100K, do it next week maybe for Brayley. So it's
I
not
might
not
look
an
at that.
exciting side without Ponga.
I might look at that. Anyway, last game of the round, the Canberra Raiders versus the Cronulla Sharks. Now, Jamal Fogarty is out, obviously, for that extended period of time. KO Weeks is the new player, halfback into that team. And Simi Suzagi is named to start in the second row. Um, First of all, here I'm the coach of obviously inch at a time in the draft competition. I'm in 3 drafts and I have Fogarty as my halfback for all 3. So I am devastated by this. We want to thank Jamal for his services to our club because it has been actually really, really good. Very underrated there. I was happy I got him in like one of my last picks, I think, for all 3 or something like that as well. So it was very good to get him in. I knew he'd be sort of a decent option because he'd do all the work there for the Raiders. But yeah, just thanks for what you've done to help me get to the top of the ladder for a lot of those leagues. For the Sharkies, Braden Trindle has been stood down, obviously, with everything that's going on. Don't know how much we can or can't say about that at the moment, but there's been a lot posted in the media. So I'll just say go. Obviously, if you haven't
Just
seen it yet, just
Google it.
look at social media, type it in. So Daniel Atkinson comes in to partner Nico Hines in the halves, and Sione Katoa is back, which means Sam Stone Street is out of the 17. Nico Hines, loving this as a Nico Hines owner. This just is so good. He goes back into basically doing everything for this team. And having Atkinson is playing his supporting act, I guess. And God damn, I'm so happy I held on to him.
Yeah, man. 100%. Yeah, he's 45 break even after a massive game. Finally turns it on, and now he's going to be doing it every week again. So yeah, it's great signs for every Heinz owner out there. 46,500 of them. He's already been traded in by 5,800 too. So that ownership's gone over the 50s. Fair enough. It's very hard to not have a guy after he puts 145 points on someone. So yeah. Still interested to see what this Atkinson will do. Whether he becomes an option down the line, I don't know. But if it makes Hines a better player because of it, like we'll definitely take that. What else is going on? Kyle Lero keeps his spot. Obviously, Finucane's retired today. Unfortunately for him,
Yep.
it was all about the concussions. It's a bit of a shame. Never like to see anyone go out in those ways, but it does free up another forward out of that side. They were getting a bit heavy, and it was kind of throwing a bit of the confusion about the rotation, specifically around Kyle Lero and Sifa Talakai. So now that Finucane's gone, Talakai retains a bench spot. Kyle Lero keeps his center spot, and then they just maybe plugs away and does what Finucane was doing without having to worry about an extra man. So I feel like that kind of spells only good things for Eero out of everyone. Um, so they'll take that, happy days. Sione Katoa came back in for Stone Street and just slotted straight back into his position. Nothing else changed. So yeah, the Sharks are humming. Attack's going
They
well.
are.
Defense is great. Top of the ladder. For how long we'll see, but yeah, you can't really can't fault them considering they've had a lot of outs. One player that I am very interested in, and he hasn't really lit anything up so far this season, is Britton Nakora. I know we sort of spoke about it last week. I don't know if it was on air or not, but Nakora's down 125K. His break even's 80. He's 584K. It's kind
Wow.
of the lowest I've seen Nakora for a very long time. He's been traded in this week by 88 people. No faith in Britain Nakora. If Hines is going off again, like if we're seeing the best of Hines all over, and it's not going to go left as much as you would expect because he wants to go to Nakora all the time, naturally, I feel like he becomes a really good option. Even this week, he's owned by 2,000 people, 1%. No one's trading him in. He's 580K. He's about the same price as Pierce Paul. But there's a bit of heritage behind old Britt Nakora there, so there's one for me. These 2,188 people that currently own him are probably cursing my name because they want me to keep him in the shadows. But yeah, no, I've been very keen to sort of look in getting him in. It might not be this week because I do want to do the Cleary and whatever fullback move, but potentially next week, unless he scores like if he scores 80, there's his break even, which is probably up to there with his biggest score this season. I don't think he's really done anything to warrant getting traded in though. That's the thing. You're kind of bringing him in on name value.
Yeah.
But yeah, his highest score this year is a 60. He's at a 50, a 25, which he got binned for and sent because and he got suspended for I think what was it? He smacked someone in the head, high tackle.
Uh, yeah, I think it was.
I think it was a high tackle. So he got the 25, come back 60, and then last week 41. So it's nothing great, but man, if Hines turns up, like it just means good things for him. So yeah, don't be too surprised if 2 weeks time, Britain Nakora's ownership's up 10,000, and I'm one of them. But yeah, no, that's pretty much the rest. And then yeah, we'll see how many minutes Cam McInnes gets if he becomes an 80-minute lock. With that head of his. I just want to see
Yeah,
tackles.
that'd be even interesting. What happens to McInnes and his points and stuff moving forward? So we'll keep an eye on that one.
But the Raiders. The Raiders are starting to look like just cash cow central, I think. Every single week someone else pops up. This week, Kaya Weeks is in the mix now. So there's another one of those guys that everyone had in their like preseason teams. Simi Sasagi as well. He's a center wing, playing second row, killed it last round. He's bottom dollar as well. I think he's like 220K. There's so many players that you can get in for, but it's like how many Raiders do you want now? Especially with Fogarty out. I'm a little worried about it. Um, Ethan Strange, you can almost say that potentially Ethan Strange has like hit his price wall too. Um, is it worth warranting a trade out for him now that he's 530K? Pretty much hit his okay, that's his break even too, 50 odd. So Schiller's still named again, break even 51, or 43 for Schiller. It's probably still going to make some coin. These guys have scored big, but it's like when do you get off? Problem is you're getting off the Raiders and you're trading them down to more Raiders. You're just resetting them. Like I wouldn't hate like if your Strange was in your center wing and you were happy to move him on, you could go Strange to Sasagi and just go 1 for 1, or even Weeks, but I don't feel like Weeks is ever going to be an option. Um, yeah, Schiller and Strange are the two that I have, like most people would. I'm kind of looking to move them soon. I feel like this week, next week potentially, but I do want to see how they go without Fogarty and just how this halves combo lines up because I don't think Weeks has done a lot. Um, I don't see Strange that kind of player either. So I just don't know. It could be the decline of the Raiders starts now.
Unfortunately, they've been playing some pretty good football as well for the Canberra Raiders. So hopefully they can muster something together and who knows, maybe recruit a halfback for the back half of this season or the second half of this season to start to continue what they're doing and Fogarty can come back around finals times and lead them back into a charge. But yeah, I don't have much to add to what you've actually said. I guess the final one to talk about is the captaincy and the vice captaincy. Guys, the trade side of things, just didn't have time to get a post out today, unfortunately. There was a lot of news, obviously, the Finucane stuff, the Braden Trindles alike. There was a lot of just rugby league news that took over. So I know there's a couple of people that have sent through some stuff. I haven't been able to get to that yet. I will get to that over the next day or so. We'll have a look at things and let you know there. But that'll be back next week. So, and I'll also just put up mine and Jesse's final trades on the post on Thursday instead of rambling about stuff we've already probably spoken about. But Jesse, what are your captaincy and vice captaincy options looking like this week? For me, I'm probably looking at the captaincy on Hines now. And I think it will be like that for some time while there's no Trindle. And the VC, depending on who I go Ponga for, um, I just think I might be going for Pappenhausen. I just really like that South Sydney matchup.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. I'd probably be doing the same, to be honest. I'm pretty like comfortable going Captain Hines this week.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it just depends on the fullback that I want to bring through too for the VC. I don't really think I'll be looping out regardless, to be fair. Like now that Talagi's not named Blaze, I feel like I've got a nice little loop option there anyway. But um, yeah, it'll either be one of Walsh against the Tigers potentially, or Pap against the Rabbits. I like that matchup a bit more for some reason. Feel like Pap's just
Yeah.
going to do bits to him. And I feel like
Big
the Tigers
stage.
as well. Like the Tigers are a bit of, they got a lot of mongrel about them. And for a player like Reece Walsh, I feel like they're going to want to shut him down just to prove a point. So I just don't feel like the Rabbits have that kind of attitude, the mentality behind them to shut Pappenhausen down. I just don't think they could do it if they tried. So yeah, big stage game too. You know what I mean? You're right. But yeah, I could be in the exact same boat to you. If I go Pap, it'll be VC Pap. But I'm pretty happy to just commit to a Cleary. Oh, sorry, not Cleary. Well, Cleary's going to be in my side too, but a Hines captaining.
I'm not happy, guys. Pappy, if you're listening, and I'm sure you will be, go large, brother, because I'm very, very happy to loop you this week. So I need every extra bit of points that I can find to try and muster something back. I'm become a strictly a head-to-head player now. Overall, can go and do one because I'm officially out of that race. But anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the episode. As I said, keep an eye on the social medias for the page. We'll be putting our trades and everything up there. Continue to message through the page for trades and ideas and stuff. I don't know why you're asking us anymore. We don't know what we're doing anymore, but we should be coming asking you guys. But again, I asked, we are looking for the sponsorship stuff. So if you do own a business or you're interested, any shape or form, any however small, however large you want to do, we're happy to talk about things. But guys, we'll leave it there. The Wednesday live show will be back tomorrow night, so make sure you're tuning in 8:30 from via either Facebook or YouTube. Plenty of things to talk about. There's been a huge day, as I said today. No doubt tomorrow will probably be the same. It's rugby league. It never sleeps. It never stops. So, Jesse, thanks once again, brother. Let's just see what happens. I'm a draft player now, so that's all I care about.
That's it. You're at least winning one of them, so just try and hold the fort down. Next one of us.
I'm winning 2 drafts at the moment, but I don't want
Oh,
to.
yeah,
I don't
actually.
want to pump
Oh,
my own
good
tires
job.
up.
Let's rub it in.
All right, thanks, guys.
See.
Any draft questions you have, just send them to me. I'm the draft king. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your day. Goodbye.